Google Carpet Masters San Bernardino and give us a call, or go to carpetmasterssocal.com.
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, call 909-885-8502 or email ceo@kcaaradio.com. You're listening to KCAA, your good neighbor along the way.
Live from the NBC News Radio broadcasting studios of KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, located in beautiful sunny California, which is cold today. Thanks for tuning in to the Water Zone Show. Good afternoon. I'm Rob Starr, along with Mr. Mike Barron, who's in the control room fighting with our printer, trying to get something off that he was researching. He should be in here in just a second. Anyway, we're known here as the Water Boys, but today it's our monthly ag show, and we have some great hosts doing it from Toro's Micro Irrigation Division, Miss Ingy Bisconer and Mr. Paul McFadden. Hi, guys. Are you ready for the holidays and your show?
Hi, Rob. How are you?
I'm great.
Hey, what's going on over there? It's cold down here, and I bet it's cold up there, too.
It's cold. I had to be in Apple Valley this morning early, and it was like 28 degrees and windy.
Yeah.
It was freezing.
Yeah, actually, I was over in Indio today, coming over from San Diego, and it is cold and windy, and the traffic is horrible. So everybody's out and about doing holiday stuff, getting ready, I think, or in the midst of it.
Yep.
And it's a busy time of year, but happy winter to you all.
That's right. Today's the official day, and I think, what is it, at 8:25 today in the morning?
Yeah, something like 8:38 this morning or something. Winter started, so that's why it got cold last night, I'm sure.
Did you guys get all your Christmas shopping in?
Just about done.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
About done. Yeah.
You know, there's always that thing, what do you want for Christmas and what do you need for Christmas?
Oh, yeah. The wants and needs are definitely different.
Absolutely. I can't convince my wife of either one, but what the heck. As long as she gets her gift, she's happy. Anyway, We'll turn it over to you. Like I said, Mike will be coming in here from the other room in a few minutes because we like your guests that you got on, and they're interesting, and we certainly want to maybe chime in with 1 or 2 questions if we could. But anyway, we'll turn the show over to you guys.
Great. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it. We do have an exciting show today. We have 2 guests that are in the water business and having to making some pretty important decisions on how we fix this water problem. And that is the theme of our show today, the California water fix. So our first guest is Johnny Amarell. Johnny, are you there? Hello, Johnny.
Yes, sir.
Hey, this is Paul and Ingy. Welcome to the Water Zone.
How are you guys? Thank you for having me.
Very well.
Great.
Thank you for joining us.
Is it cold up where you're at in the Central Valley?
It's plenty cold. I got the wind machines for the citrus fields running every morning, so it's plenty cold.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate you taking the time, your time, out of obviously a busy holiday season to participate in our program. And if you like, I'd like to just read your an introduction so our listening audience, not just around the Los Angeles basin, but around the country and around the world, listening online, know a little bit of who you are and what your background is. You're a San Joaquin Valley native and currently the Deputy General Manager for the Westlands Water District, the largest irrigation district in the entire United States. Prior to coming to the Westlands, you were the Chief of Staff for Congressman Devin Nunes from January 2003 to May of 2015, when you moved at that point over to the Westlands. Welcome, first of all, and it's great to have you, like we said.
Well, thank you for the nice introduction. It's tiring just listening to it. My gosh. I appreciate being on the show, and sorry it's taken so long to connect, but I'm glad to be on.
Excellent.
I don't know if congratulations or condolences are in order for you spending 12 years in politics, but that's pretty tough.
Well, it was an honor and a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work without question. And I spent a lot of time in Washington and of course here in California. And actually, fortunately or unfortunately, I should say, my new job here at Westlands it's not that new. It's been a couple of years, but I've got my hands and feet into politics still because, like anything else, but maybe especially water is very political. It's highly charged. It's a very emotional issue, and to cut through all that sometimes it's challenging, but it's a lot of fun.
Sonny, in your bio, it mentions that you're a San Joaquin Valley native. Could you maybe tell us a little bit more, tell our listening audience a little bit more about you and your background and how you ended up in the water business?
Sure. I was born and raised in the southern part of the San Joaquin Valley, which for your listeners in Southern California, if you ever drive north on I-5 over the Grapevine and you drop into the valley, that's the beginning of the southern part of the San Joaquin Valley, which stretches from basically Kern County, which the city center there is Bakersfield, all the way up to around the Sacramento area. It's largely known as, without question, the driving economic engine here is agriculture, and for a whole host of reasons, but mainly, just to put it very simply, we have perfect soil, we have the perfect weather to grow just about anything, and all it requires is water. And so if you can combine those three elements, you have a perfect growing machine. And here in the Central Valley, like I said, in that region from Kern County north, there's about 350 different crops that are grown here, the most efficient grown crops in the world. In Westlands Water District alone, which is the west side of the Central Valley, Kings County and Fresno County, we grow about 60 crops in Westlands. And so it's very diverse, but very efficient. I've spent my whole professional career working on these issues because whether you're Republican or Democrat, it doesn't really matter. I mean, the water issue in this area is, in terms of level of importance, is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Without it, things are very difficult. With it, things work wonderfully.
Yeah, we have that perfect weather and perfect soil, but nothing grows without water, and that's right. Why Henry Miller would ride all night to post the signs on the trees and get his water rights, because that makes the land valuable, right?
That's right. That's right.
So, Johnny, about almost 2 years ago, you had an article printed in the Fresno Bee titled "Let's Work Together to Protect California Agriculture," and you and your staff were quoted as saying, "Westlands family farmers have made huge investments to make their production more efficient and environmentally sensitive, much more than any other region in the world. In fact, many of the advances in irrigation technology and efficiency were born here." So I bet our listening audience would love to hear a little bit more about how your membership, how your farmers are using advanced irrigation technology.
Okay. It's in many ways, Westlands is misunderstood by the public kind of outside of the Central Valley. But what I like to say is that Westlands Water District is, in terms of an ag service district, is what I would consider the model for what everyone should kind of try to strive to be in terms of efficiency. About 94% of all of our lands are irrigated through some sort of highly efficient, highly technological drip or sprinkler irrigation. There's no flood irrigation in Westlands Water District. There's no exposed canals. All the water in Westlands is delivered to our landowners through underground pipe. Every drop is metered, so we know exactly how much each landowner or water user is using. We are masters, are experts at the reuse of of water, capturing of excess water, blending it with fresh water, and reusing that water on other crops. We account for every drop, and it's something that I think that most districts should strive for, because it makes your business practice more efficient. And farming is obviously we're growing food to feed the world, feed the state and the country and the world, but it is still a for-profit enterprise too. It's these farmers are in business, and so it really lends itself. The efficiencies gained by having these types of technologies deployed are immense, but it requires major investment and major risk taking by our landowners to get to this point. And it's really interesting when I take people on tours or especially ground tours of the district. It takes usually about an hour or so before they kind of realize, hey, there's no ditches in Westlands. There's no exposed water in Westlands, and everything's delivered underground or by drip. People tend to have an epiphany after about an hour. They realize how different it is in Westlands, and what they're seeing, the epiphany they're having, is about the efficiencies that's very obvious when you spend some time in Westlands. So we're very proud of that.
That's really. I'm sorry, John. I didn't mean to step on you there, but that's really something I was not aware of. That's really significant. And for those less familiar with open water versus pipe, you don't have the evaporation or the runoff that you would out of a canal or an open water conveyance system versus a pipeline. So that is a significant difference. And there's a lot of water districts in the state I know that are still operating using canal systems and that are not pressurized. So that means they're not going through pipeline. It's just gravity fed. So that is.
It's still the norm, Paul. It still is the norm. It's unusual in terms of in ag irrigation districts to have water delivered this way. And I'm not saying one way is right and one way is wrong. All I'm pointing out is that because of water supply shortages and government or regulatory shortages that have been created by government law or action, these are things that over the course of time had to be done. We had to account for every drop, and like I said before, it didn't come without risk or a major investment, but it's something at this point we're very, very proud of.
Well, you should be. To have 94% of it, in advanced technology is fantastic, and I think probably other water districts haven't done that. What you hear them say is that, hey, we can't afford it, or hey, the flood irrigation is recharging the groundwater or is going to another grower, so it's really not waste that's being used by somebody else. But then again, you have an energy footprint with it, and you might have chemicals in it as well. So I don't know that argument really holds water. What's your view on that? Why other water districts haven't made that investment?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not judging one that's right or wrong or one that's better or worse. And everybody's got to do things the way they see fit and the way they believe it to be most appropriate and most economical. But for us, it was a decision that especially over the course of the last couple of decades, it rose up. It became a front burner issue, so to speak. These are issues and problems that needed a solution, and these are some of the ways that our growers decided to solve these. Is just to be as efficient as you possibly can be with every drop of water.
So there's using drip and micro irrigation in 94% of the farm applications there in the Westlands. They must be using like satellite imagery and soil moisture monitoring and some of the NASA data and some of the technology that is slowly being adopted. Do you have any?
We have growers and companies in our district who have soil probes in the ground so that they know exactly the soil moisture, and when it comes time to irrigate, they have it to where they can control what section of ground or what row of trees or crop gets watered watered. If it needs water and a section adjacent to the area that may have enough water or moisture in the soil won't get watered. I mean, it is really quite impressive. The other thing is, watching a tractor, cultivate or do work in a field by GPS. And so the point you made about satellite imagery or things like that, yeah, we've got equipment that runs by GPS. We've got, like I said before, the highly efficient irrigation systems. Anything that can be done or deployed to become more efficient has either been born, like I said in my piece last year, was born in Westlands Water District, or it's been attempted. It's been tried.
Got it. So there's obviously having a wet winter, thankfully, last year, and the jury's still out whether it's going to be wet again this year, but on the heels of a multiple-year drought, is something that California has struggled with since the beginning of time, I'm sure. But, there's many ideas that have been thrown around to improve water situation throughout the state, including water efficiency and water conveyance and using technology that will ultimately benefit not only the people of the state, but the environment and obviously for the farmers. One of those ideas that Governor Brown has put forward is the water fix, or twin tunnels. Could you perhaps give us your perspective on what that looks like to give our listeners a kind of a background of what the twin tunnels of the water fix is and what areas of the state it will affect?
Sure. So, first of all, most of the people in the state rely on what's called imported water, which is they use or consume water that comes from somewhere else. And in the case, just generally speaking, of California, about 80% of the rainfall and snowpack falls somewhere north of the Delta, the San Joaquin-Sacramento Delta. And, of course, about 70 or 80% of the demand for that water is south of the Delta. So the big question has always been, for about 50 years, is the movement of water from where it originates to where the demand is. And for 50 years or so, it's moved through the Delta, through the state and the federal government both operate pumping plants that pick up water and move it, put it into the aqueduct that runs up parallel I-5 and delivers it either to farms and communities in the Central Valley or over the Grapevine into Southern California or into cities and communities in the Bay Area. As I mentioned earlier in the call, water is a very political issue. It's very tricky. It's very emotional. And so over the course of the last 30 years or so, there was a new water user, so to speak, added to the mix, and that was, quote-unquote, the environment. And when you add a new water user that takes most of the water that comes into the state, it creates uncertainty, and it creates shortages for everyone else who depends on the system to operate. So I apologize for getting too far in the weeds here, but the idea on the water fix was, the original idea was, on the water fix as we know it today, the tunnel project, was to take water off the Sacramento River north of the Delta and move it under the Delta and then dump it into the areas by the pumping plants, and they could capture the water and move it into the aqueduct to move it either into storage or to Southern California or wherever. And the reason is because the Delta is a fragile ecosystem. There's a lot of water users. The whole state depends on the movement of water through the Delta. And it's, like I said before, it's created these shortages. So the idea, or the law has created shortages. So the idea was, okay, how can we find a way to continue to thrive as a state, continue to ensure that cities, farms, and communities have water, and also protect the ecosystem in the Delta? The idea known as the water fix is the idea still that's being kicked around and being contemplated. it's basically two big tunnels that move water from the Sacramento River down to the pumping stations for distribution around the state. Westlands has been involved in this process from the very beginning. Westlands growers have invested a lot of time, energy, and money into the planning of this project. But much like everything else, it really came down to when a decision was made by the board of directors at Westlands Water District about whether or not to participate. The decision was made not to because by our estimation and by our modeling, the water supply benefit did not warrant the cost that would come with what would be considered our portion of construction of the project. And so I think what we said, what our general manager, Tom Birmingham, said is from the very beginning, we could not obligate our farmers to pay this amount of money for water of which the supply was uncertain even at this point. And so our board of directors made a decision in December not to proceed, but obviously we're keeping a very close eye on it, and we're still in discussion with those entities and groups that are still a part of it. The bottom line is, as I said before, everybody in the state depends on the movement of water through the Delta to survive, whether it's a school or a farm or a city or and it's the Central Valley or Southern California. We're all dependent on that. And somehow or another, there needs to be either a more normal way or more normalcy restored to how the system operates currently, or another engineering structure to move water from where it originates to where it needs to go. I don't know what the prognosis is going to be. There seems to be a lot of uncertainty at this point about the project moving forward, but I know that there are proponents that are still trying to find a way to get it done. And again, that's a long way of describing it, but that's in essence where we are.
Yeah, no, that was excellent.
Yeah.
But I wonder. So I mean, the farmland is basically worthless without water. If you don't have water, your farmers aren't going to be able to be productive, and the supplies have been erratic due to multiple reasons over the last decade. And yet you're saying that it's just not economically feasible for you to support this project. So are you essentially suggesting that maybe somebody else pick up the cost, or that there is a different project, or what would it take for Westlands to indeed support the project? I guess that's my question.
Or a similar project.
Because it seems like
it's on the project or something like this, a concept like this. Again, it would have to be something where our board of directors would have to have comfort, some level of comfort in understanding what the water supply benefit would be and how much it would cost them. Remember, we have, unlike I think your next guest is from Metropolitan Water District. They have millions of water users or ratepayers that they can spread the costs across to. Westlands has 700. And so when you take a big piece of the pie, in terms of the financing piece of the pie, and you spread it across 700 payers, it becomes very, very expensive in a hurry. I think it's important to point out the system that the state has been living under and operating under for several decades goes back to the time of the days of John F. Kennedy and Pat Brown. The projects, as they're called, just generically speaking, the projects, the State Water Project and the Central Valley Project, the state and the federal project. These are systems that, if allowed to operate the way they were designed to operate or intended to operate, everybody gets water. The environment gets water, cities get water, farmers get water, and life kind of moves on. But as I mentioned earlier, things got very complicated about 30 years ago with the passage of a sweeping environmental bill known as the Central Valley Project Improvement Act. And that just threw a wrench into the entire system for delivering water in California. And it created restrictions, and it created shortages, and it created just problems up and down the state. And so all these ideas that are being kicked around and solutions that are being contemplated and ideas that are being discussed for financing are all because this genius of a system that was envisioned and designed by our forefathers has been in many ways rendered not useless, but it's just been neutered, and it's not being allowed to operate as it was designed to operate, and therefore it creates shortages. And so I think if you were to interview someone from the Trump administration, for example, I think they would tell you, look, we have a system that's been working for decades. Let's let this system operate. That way people and cities and farms and communities have water. That's their position. It's, in my opinion, it's a very reasonable position. I mean, the last time I checked, people need to eat, and the last time I checked, people need water. And so I think the Trump administration's approach has been, let's see if we can get this project, these two projects, the Central Valley project, to operate the way it was designed to operate. Now, 2017 was the wettest year we've ever had recorded in California. It set records up and down the state. And so everyone had water this year. Cities, towns, farmers, we had a 100% allocation of water this year. We had so much water this year that came so late, we couldn't even use it all. Try to figure that out. So that's how wet it was in 2017. But the history of California will tell you just because we had a wet year in 17 doesn't mean it's going to be wet for the next 3 years or the next year. It could be bone dry this year. Yeah. So then we have to decide, and the Trump administration and the water agencies and the people of the state have to decide, okay, are we going to allow the projects as we know them, the Central Valley Project and the State Water Project, to operate, to deliver water to people, cities, and farms, or are we going to allow for communities and farms to dry up again? It remains to be seen what the verdict will be and what the decision will be. But what we're hearing so far from the Trump administration is they'd like to see these projects operate the way they were designed to operate. And if that happens, then everybody has water.
I'd like to just interject for a second. This is Mike Barron in our studios here in Southern California. But I want to recommend that folks who are interested in this topic visit your website, Westland Water District website. It has a lot of good information, and the one thing that struck me about its decision to not support or not vote for the Twin Tunnels project was that the investment was fairly well understood to be a certain amount, and yet there was no guarantee that there would be an availability of water, perhaps because of the various rules that affect the distribution of water in California, specifically that 1992 law that you mentioned. So before I realized that was the fact, I thought, well, why wouldn't they support it? But if you're being asked to support something in the hundreds of millions of dollars or perhaps more, and you can't be assured that you're going to get any more water than you currently have, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Am I off base with that assessment?
No, you just nailed it. That's exactly that. It's like you were in the boardroom when the decisions were being made. It became a very simple discussion because you're right. We couldn't, with any degree of certainty, really bank on how much water we could see year in, year out if we were to invest in the project. We just couldn't get to a number that we felt confident with in terms of quantity. And so, I mean, it's like numerator and denominator here. You've got a certain cost associated with involvement in the project, and then you have a certain amount of water, and the divisors didn't work. It became very, very expensive water, so much so that this was said during public session of our board meeting. I mean, there's not a crop in Westland's Water District or the state that could sustain that cost of water. Not one.
Yeah. And
it wasn't even close. And so it became a fairly simple decision. But I want to reiterate, I mean, Westland's Water District has for years been engaged in the public process, both with elected officials and the public, about educating them on why making sure that agriculture gets water is important to not just us, but to the state and the federal government. We have, again, not to toot our own horn, but we live in one of 5 Mediterranean regions in the world, and it happens to be the most developed and sophisticated growing region in the world, and we can grow anything here. And in many cases, other countries see what we have the potential to do just in the San Joaquin Valley, the Central Valley, and they're envious of it. And so in my previous life, I'd travel all over with Congressman Nunes. We travel sometimes around the world and visit with other countries, and when we tell them the story about how the government federal law, has restricted water supply to those people who are growing food to feed the nation, they wouldn't believe you. They thought that you were making up a story, not possible. Why would a government do that? I mean, it's embarrassing.
Well, Johnny, there's more that I would want to get into, but we're against a hard stop, so we're going to have to say thank you very much, and you can be assured that we'll want to invite you back sometime soon, because there's a bigger story to tell. So thank you very much. It's very informative.
Thank you, John.
I'm glad to be on. You guys have a good holiday.
Thank you. You too.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you, Johnny.
All right, we're going to take a little break from our great sponsors of Scott's Miracle Grow and Site One, and we'll be back in a minute with the next guest. So stick around.
This is the Schmidt's Yard. Company's coming soon, and, oh, Schmidt, their deck and outdoor furniture's been dominated by dirt. But no worries, there's plenty of time for Scott's Outdoor Cleaner Plus OxyClean to work its magic. Its fast-foaming action lifts dirt and wipes out stains from moss, mold, mildew, and algae. Guaranteed. All while being safe to use around plants and grass. Because when company's coming, dirt's not invited. This is a Scott's Yard. Pick up Scott's Outdoor Cleaner this weekend.
Are you looking for a place to buy your landscape and gardening items? Come visit us at Site One Landscape Supply. We offer a large and quality selection of irrigation, landscape, and outdoor living products such as Toros water-efficient precision nozzles. Site One Landscape Supply has over 30 locations right here in Southern California, and we are the largest national wholesale distributor of landscape supplies in the United States. Site One's knowledgeable and friendly staff is equipped to help you with all your landscape, irrigation, and outdoor living projects. Whether you're redoing your backyard into a drought-tolerant garden or creating a water-efficient landscape for your client, Site One has everything you need, including the latest in water-saving technologies, drought-tolerant plants for your yard, irrigation supplies, fertilizer and weed control products, landscape accessories, hardscape products, outdoor lighting, and much, much more. Visit SiteOne.com to find a store near you or stop by today. Site One. We are stronger together.
Hey, welcome back to the second half of the Water Zone, and this week it is Ag Show, so we're going to turn it back over to Ms. Inge Bisconer and Mr. Paul McFadden for their next great guest. It's all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. We have another wonderful guest here from the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. So as Paul said, this show really highlights two of the biggest water districts in the world, one of the biggest ones for agriculture, and our next guest is representing one of the biggest ones for the urban environment. Steve, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, Steve, thank you. And I know we're a little shorter than we anticipated, but I'm sure we'll get some good conversation in here. So, Steve, by way of introducing you to our listening audience, I'd like to let them know that you are the manager of the Bay Delta Initiatives Program at the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, otherwise known as MET, in Los Angeles. And you've got a background of 30 years working in the water field as a civil engineer. And, you've been working, you're responsible for the plans and activities to, quote-unquote, secure a reliable supply from the State Water Project through environmental and water supply improvement in the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta. So I wish you luck with that, because that's a tall order, as we know from discussions on this show. Prior to that, you were a manager with the Water Resource Management Group for over 10 years, and you've also worked for DWR in Sacramento, and you're a registered engineer. So welcome to the show, and Steve, tell us a little bit about your position and also the Met's recent Board of Directors decision to vote in favor of the California water fix, which we just heard that Westlands did not vote for. So fill us in on your position on this.
Sure. So Metropolitan serves about 19 million people. They're a water wholesaler, and we provide water to other agencies that sell water to businesses and to residences. And Metropolitan serves about, like I said, 19 million people, which is about half of the state's population and about half of the state's $2 trillion economy. So it's really important to the state of California how Metropolitan provides reliable supply. And we've been involved in this California water fix, or prior to that, the Bay Delta Conservation Plan, for about 10 years, when under Governor Schwarzenegger, efforts were underway to plan, and now we're getting to the point of the plans are finished and getting to implementation of improvements to the area where the water is diverted for both the state and the federal water projects. And it's really an issue of improving and modernizing a system that's over 60 years old. It goes back to the 1950s and 60s, and so there's really a need. There was a need identified back then to have a better system, but it's never gotten done. And Metropolitan's board has been involved in the process all along. And in October, it voted to support financing its share of the project. So its share meaning it's part of the state water project, so paying its share of that piece, and then recognizing that other water users would pay their share. So that was a pretty big milestone.
So there's been other districts around the state, as you know, Steve. We just talked to Johnny Amaro from Westlands, and for their group, their board decided that to spread it out over the cost of investing in the water fix, the tunnel system, over those 700 water users, it was just too expensive for them to move forward. Obviously, you're in the Metropolitan Water District in a little different position with 19 million users. Can you kind of help us understand that a little bit better in terms of how that affects those 19 million users versus, say, a 700 or whatever the number of ag producers is in the Central Valley?
Sure. So big parts of California rely on this project, and so there's urban areas and agricultural areas. And, even in the State Water Project system, our fellow State Water Project contractors also are agricultural areas, and so they have an interest in how we can improve the system as well. For us as an urban region, we are looking to strengthen the reliability of our supply. So it's mainly to protect the supply that we have so that we don't lose any further supply into the future. Having a better way to divert the water in the Delta so that increased regulation doesn't cause that reliability to go down. When we evaluate the cost of this project, it ends up being very favorable compared to other more expensive options like higher cost recycled water, ocean desalination, and also stormwater capture. A lot of the more cost-effective projects in those areas have been done, and so this project of modernizing the state project system in the Delta really does come out pretty cost-effective versus those options. To the household level, that's about $2 per month per household, and so with other areas, though, agricultural areas, it's a different business situation. But like I said, areas of Kern County are part of the State Water Project, and so we're working with our fellow state project contractors to try to make this project a reality, because we're all looking for reliable water, and we're facing the risk of losing water, and the urban areas can't get by in losing large volumes of water, and neither can agriculture, particularly with new laws that require the balancing of the groundwater basins. So there's really a focus on trying to create that stability on the state project system so that we can bring all of these supplies into balance.
So it seems that most of the water districts that are voting against this are citing cost. They basically, I'm all for the project, but I don't want to pay the amount that I'm being, kind of assessed. And so if that is indeed true, that it's too onerous for some of the water districts, and that kills the project, that would be very, very bad for Met, right? And so I wonder if your board of directors is considering picking up more of the cost in order to make this work.
Or I would add, Steve, are they looking at alternatives to the twin tunnels?
Yeah, it's always been about looking at alternatives. Every 5 years, we look at our water supply strategy and we update it and determine what's the best mix of projects. And over the 25 years that we've really diversified where we get our water, as compared to earlier in our history, it always comes out that improving the state water project makes a lot of sense. And I think that for the most part, the Central Valley Project agricultural contractors have a challenge because of how their contracts work. They have contracts that differ amongst their contractors. They have more junior contractors where their ability to count on the water is much more unreliable versus those that have more senior water rights. And so it's been an issue of how do they allocate the cost of this project amongst all of those that count on the water, and how do you get those, other senior, or who pays for the senior water right holders in order to make this project work. And so when you hear about discussions ongoing, that's what it's about, is figure out how to come up with a strategy where the cost formula on the federal side is much more amenable to those that are involved.
Interesting. Makes perfect sense.
So I a year ago, I participated in the Water Education Foundation's Bay Delta tour. And Steve, I may have met you on that. I met your colleague, Lewis, on that trip. And I remember going away from that, it was fascinating 3 days, just thinking how devastating it would be for the state if we had, say, an earthquake, and that if our water supply from the Delta were contaminated with salt water, it affected like 3.5 million acres and 35 million people's water supply or something like that. So, I mean, if we don't fix this problem, it seems like there's a lot in jeopardy. Am I overreacting, or would you agree, or how would you assess what's going to happen if we don't do anything?
Yeah, I would agree strongly. I think if we don't do anything, it means that the system is susceptible to earthquakes. It's also susceptible to the sea level rise, because we've seen over the last 100 years the sea level that's coming, the tides that are coming into the San Francisco Bay at the Golden Gate, we've seen those tides rising, and that brings more salt water in, and the projected sea level rise over the next 100 years is going to be at a much more accelerated rate. So all of those who rely on the Delta system are going to be impacted by that higher saline water. But certainly with the earthquakes, these levees were made over 100 years ago. They weren't highly engineered. They are in better shape than they've been in the past because a lot of maintenance and upgrades have gone into them, but they are still not a perfect system. And so it's not really a matter of if they will fail. They will fail at some point out into the future, and that really does put the risk of not having water supply for a great portion of the state's population. That impacts people's lives. It impacts the economy. So having a better system of diverting water in the Delta that's much more reliable, that avoids the susceptibility to the sea level rise is going to be really, really important. I said earlier, the state had recognized in the 1950s and 60s that the current diversion points were not the best solution. They've continued to pursue solutions, and we've been in a 50 or 60 year process of figuring out how do we move that forward. And this is the closest we've ever been. All of the environmental documents have been completed and approved. The key Biological Endangered Species Act permits have been issued, and so the planning has been completed. Now it's a decision of funding the project and moving forward.
Yeah, it just seems like we have to do it, and we're on the way, and now it's, how to pay for it, really. And another thing is I know that Matt bought some land in the Delta, one of the islands. Can you tell us a little bit about your strategy there?
Yeah, so the properties, there were four different areas, four different what they call tracts or islands that Metropolitan purchased a little bit over a year and a half ago or so. And it's the strategy there was there could be multiple opportunities. The levees along those islands are right in the middle of the central delta, and that's the corridor that transports the water through the center of the delta down to the export pumps. So we care about those levees. If we had more control over that area, that could help us to more control our own destiny in terms of making sure that the levees were in the best shape possible. But also looking at are there other things that can be done to look at habitat restoration to improve the delta for the fisheries, maybe improve water quality, to reverse the subsidence in the delta, because at the same time the sea level is rising, the farming activities and the organic soils are oxidizing, and so that's making the land subside. And those two things happening at the same time, the sea level rising and the land basically compressing, that's not a good formula for reliability in the delta in the future. That causes more risk of failure of those levees. So our strategy was look at multiple opportunities, including two of the islands are along the alignment of the tunnel project. So that would help the state in terms of having access to two important areas that would help with the staging and the construction of the project if the project were to go forward. So our board deliberated over all of that over a number of months and approved us going forward with that purchase.
Well, also, kind of on a side note, it creates an excellent environment for all the wildlife in the area, the waterfowl, and certainly you mentioned the fisheries and so forth, and keeping those in good shape is important to the overall health of the Delta, which it has, it's struggled. I think we can characterize it over the last a decade or so. It's really had some tough times with invasive species and smelt and salmon and so on and so on. Would you agree?
Yes, and it is the native species that are of the concern, have the habitat for those. So being involved in that, Metropolitan is pretty invested in contributing to the science, working alongside the key fishery agencies that work on all of this, because our future is tied to whether we can protect the fish, to improve the fish conditions, and the habitat is one part of that. And also with the opportunity with the islands, it allows us to be a part of that area, to work with other landowners in the area, to collaborate on things, to work with other entities that have responsibilities up there to protect the delta, to be part of the solution. So, the future of this supply for our service area is so important, and it's important to the whole state, that solving these things is key, and that's why we contribute so much to that, and that's why our board supported all of that.
Well, I think it also not only is important for the people of California, all people of California, but as California goes, and with not only agriculture, but in some of the in the urban areas where there's so many jobs and so much creative things that are being built and happening and so forth, that really affects everything that's done not only in the country but around the world. And I think we have a tendency to overlook that as Californians, at least speaking for myself. We say, well, it's just affecting California, but it really doesn't. It has a rippling effect around the world.
I agree with you, and I think that it's a pretty diverse economy in California. It has agriculture, but it has obviously all types of production and inputs into the economy that are both used in the country and exported. And having a reliable water supply is where it starts. And I think we've been really fortunate to have, over the years, reliable supply of water. We've had the recent droughts that really has called into question, are we prepared for the future? And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to try to get this over the finish line to improve the system so that we can count on reliable supplies for, the next 100 years.
Yeah, we know from history now through Lynn Ingram's book, The West Without Water, that this is not unprecedented. We've had worse drought. We've developed the West during one of the nicest, wettest periods in its history these last 100 years. So we have to get prepared for even higher, more drought and more flood than we've experienced to date. So we got to find ways. Go ahead.
One interesting thing on that is that down in our own area, we built some infrastructure to take water during shorter periods of time if the snowpack is decreasing and it's more rainfall, to be able to take larger amounts of water at one time and to store the water. And the idea of having these tunnels and the new intakes goes right along with that, because the flexibility of the system provides for taking larger amounts of water when it's wet and diverting it, having less harm on the environment, less harm in the fisheries, and being able to store that water for dry years. So it really is a stormwater capture project, and it is really a way that we can adapt to anything that might happen in the future.
Right. So, as the previous guest was alluding and others have, that we just need to manage the system better. But do you think that we need to actually overturn previous laws that were enacted in order to protect the environment, or rather just do a better job of managing what we should be managing today? That was one of my takeaways also from the tour, not only the earthquake, the fear of the earthquake and the levees failing, but that we just need to do a better job of using the water to, for example, protect the environment and also provide reliable service to the people on the farms.
Yes, I think so. And I think part of managing the water means understanding the science behind protecting the environment, understanding more about what's needed so that you can operate the system in a way that's beneficial. I think that in some areas the regulations might be missing the mark. They could be more protective, but even provide some flexibility for water management. And I think that understanding the science and being able to formulate better management actions is a way to improve the reliability of the water supply.
Steve, I got to tell you, I learned something tonight. I was not aware that the Metropolitan Water District had scientists working along Fish and Wildlife folks in the Delta, preserving environmental fisheries in other areas. And so I have to say, as a fisherman, but also as a Californian and one that consumes water, thank you very much for that.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, Metropolitan does a lot of great things. The freesprinklenology.com program, and yeah, you guys are at the forefront of water conservation, more on the urban side than the agricultural. But yeah, appreciate everything that you folks do, and we might need to bring you back on the show too. I don't think we're done talking. If you're willing to in the future, I think we'd love to have you on as a guest. And Rob, do you or Mike have a question? I think we have 2 more minutes or so.
Yeah, I was just telling Mike we should expand the show for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because great guest as always. But Mike, I think Mike has one.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that from Metropolitan Water District's perspective, it's clear that it's dealing with the laws as they are. They're wanting to develop a win-win, or we want to protect the environment and we want to provide a reliable, adequate supply of water to Southern California. But I'm wondering if MWD has ever taken a position or discussed the impact that 1992 law regarding the the State Water Project and then the Central Valley Water Project. If that law ever comes up in discussions in terms of, is there an opportunity from MWD's perspective to maybe modify that, not to override completely the environmental aspects of what that law has accomplished, but somehow, is there a sense that it's gone too far one way versus another? Any thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, there's a couple of areas that we've kind of been involved in over the years. One is in 1992 there was the Central Valley Project Improvement Act, and that was aimed at how to provide protections and how the Central Valley Project, the federal water project, was operated. And for a number of years, we were involved in that and how to implement that, how to make that work in a better way. And I'm sure the federal water contractors are continuing to seek ways to make that work for them. On the Endangered Species Act, there's been a number of efforts in the past to either reform the law or to actually make it work better administratively. And Metropolitan has been involved in the past in its own service area and on the Colorado to really look for ways for the federal government to implement that act in a way that makes sense. And that's helped in terms of the reliability of the Colorado supply when the multi-species approach to the Colorado River was implemented. And, we really feel that the same thing could be done in the Delta system. It's just having all of the different ways of doing things at your disposal. And I think, the fear is always, taking an attack at the law and undercutting the law, and how that goes right at the heart of today's values and what people want from the environment. But I think there's ways to improve how the Endangered Species Act is implemented in a way that provides for improved water supply.
Great. And on that thought, we are very thankful for your participation and the important information that you provided. Hats off to MWD. I think they do an amazing job. And I'll turn it over here to Rob to say the final goodbyes.
Well, we're up against our network hour, so we got to say goodbye from NBC News, and we appreciate that. And thanks, Ingy. Thanks, Paul. And thanks for Metropolitan Water District. We love you. And remember, most important thing to do this week is to think blue, because
on Spaceship Earth, we are all crew. Thank you, and good night.
I think they're coming to take us away.
No. Ha ha.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Penn.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon here out of the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California with UBN Radio TV. That's Universal Broadcasting Network. And then every Thursday at 7, Saturday at 1 on my syndicated CNBC, NBC News Radio channel KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere on iHeartRadio. And this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, no K words at all, no Kardashian talk. Actually, no tea talk either. So instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So there's lots of past guests and show topics. Last week we had Manhattan Transfer. We had Potsy from Happy Days the week before. So just go to my YouTube and hit subscribe, and you will get the latest shows for free and up your hope and happiness factor. And I am going to start with some peace in and peace out shout outs. First to LA County Sheriff Adamson and Domingo, who were holding the peace when I got to perform on Skid Row, our annual performance with the amazing Agape International Choir. Peace In, Peace Out at the red carpet event at the Rio Vista Universal Holiday Humanitarian Awards event at the California Science Center. Tippi Hedren was awarded for her animal activist and human activist work ever since her Academy Award from Hitchcock's epic Birds movie. She's been my favorite kind of star because she takes her limelight and shines it in areas of shadows to make light all over. I also got to flash peace with my past guest, multiple-time guest, and friend, Dawn Wells, Marianne from Gilligan's Island, also Priscilla Presley, also past guest Corey and Courtney Feldman, and upcoming guests, 500 million views on YouTube, X Factor Emmanuel Kelly, and let's see, Lieutenant Uhura, Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek. I'll have their interviews on my YouTube record red carpet playlist this week, so make sure you subscribe. And a special piece shout out to my photographers, actor Christian Gagnere, the son, and my tall, cute photographer too, and as well the host of the evening, CEO James Gagnere of Rio Vista Universal. Kudos for a great evening with special credit to actress and humanitarian Kira Reed, who made a great evening with special credit to actress and humanitarian. She just recently lost her husband, who was on the board, and she's now on the board. She made the whole event, and so a peace breath out to you for comfort, knowing he is on the other side just loving us and applauding all of what you're doing now. Special shout out to Diana Kelly, who keeps putting me where the action is. Finally, happy to announce that I've been nominated again for the 2017 Excellence in Entrepreneurship Awards by the Orange County Business Journal. Do I get a little applause for that? There was just a little one. There we go. I'm just so humble and shy. I'm sorry. Hey, I take it everywhere I can get it. Finally, for today's show, every year I come out of Lounge Lizard retirement to sing on the air with my special musical friends. Last year was Charles Holt, and this year is one of my fellow Agape International Choir sisters. She was born in New York, grew up in the foster system, started singing at an early age, and continues to be a vocal healer. She shared the stage with Patti LaBelle, Stevie Wonder, Snoop Dogg, to name a few, and has had her singles hit various number one charts here and in the UK. Her newest single, From Within, came out of her own journey, out of pain, and Majan just made the 2017 Top 100 Vocalist list. Please welcome to my studio, Majan Owens, also known as the Powerhouse Diva. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
So good to have you. And we're just going to jump right into our first holiday sing-along song and get to know her through the little breaks between the songs. So this is all for you because this is my favorite season, and I'm hoping that you will take off your holiday blue goggles just for this time and sing along with us. Santa baby, just slip a sable under the tree for me. I've been an awful good girl, Santa baby, so hurry down the chimney tonight.
Santa baby, a 54 convertible to light blue. I'll wait up for you, dear. Santa baby, so hurry down the chimney tonight.
Think of all the fun I've missed. Think of all the fellows that I haven't kissed.
Next year I can be just as good
if you'll check off my Christmas list.
Santa baby, I want a yacht, and really that's not a lot. Been an angel all year, Santa baby, so hurry down my chimney tonight.
Santa honey, one little thing I really need, the deed to a platinum mine, Santa baby, so hurry down the chimney tonight.
Santa cutie, and fill my stocking with the duplex and checks. Sign your ex on the line, Santa cutie, and hurry down the chimney tonight.
Come and trim my Christmas trees with some decorations bought at Tiffany's.
I really do believe in you.
Let's see if you believe in me. Santa baby, forgot to mention one little thing, a ring. I don't mean on the phone, Santa baby, so hurry down the chimney tonight.
Hurry down the chimney tonight.
Hurry tonight. Nice. Woohoo. Not bad. So, what's your favorite thing about the holidays?
Oh, I love the colors. I love the red, the greens, the whites, and everyone is happy.
Yes. Well, except the drivers, but we're not going there. We're not going there. And so, when did you start singing? How old do you remember?
6 years old.
6 years old?
Yes.
And how did you get the name the Powerhouse Diva? Well, I mean, that's obvious, but when did that start? I mean, she's not exactly built like a truck. She's built tiny
Very
but powerful.
And that's how I got Powerhouse Diva.
Yeah.
Because of my little body, and they said I vocalize so big, so loud. I sing so loud.
No, it's not loud. It's beautiful.
Great big voice.
Beautiful, beautiful. And did singing? I'm guessing that singing helped you sort of deal with. I read that you grew up in the foster care system.
Yes, grew up in the foster care system in the harsh ghettos of Brooklyn, New York.
Wow.
And music really saved my life.
Well, you're definitely helping a lot of people with your music and your voice and the way that you sing, and you took a healing journey yourself.
Yes,
yeah,
I did.
And we're going to hear a little bit from that song in a bit. Actually, I'm going to invite you to sing a holiday song first.
Okay.
So, "O Come All Ye Faithful" is one of your favorite songs. Why?
Yes. Oh, come all ye faithful. It's beautiful.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
Let's not. I think, therefore, I'm screwed. Right? Where they're thinking too. Don't overthink it, Marissa. Okay, go ahead. Here we go. Oh, wrong one. That one's mine. That's okay.
Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Yea. Sing, choirs of angels, sing in exaltation, oh sing, O ye citizens of heaven above. Glory to God, glory in the highest. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Lord, we greet thee, born this happy morning. Jesus, to thee be all glory given. Word of the Father, now in flesh appearing. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord.
Your voice is like butter.
Thank you.
Spreading the butter. That's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So let's see. What can we say? Oh, I know. If you've just tuned in, a little station ID, and you're wondering what's going on today, and if I've changed into a music show instead of a talk show, no, but once a year I delight in coming out of my singing closet and performing a holiday sing-along, and I bring on some of my favorite singers. Last year was Charles Holt, and the year before I think was Stacey Aman. So I pull them out of the Agape Love Burrito closet, and this year I have the powerhouse diva, and her name is Majan Owens, and you can see why if you just heard the last part of the song. And I'm going to now sing one of my it is the most favorite one of my Christmas songs. So it's called The Grown Up Christmas List. Dedicated to my daughters, Chloe May and Sarah Way. Do you remember me? I sat upon your knee. I wrote to you with childhood fantasies. Well, I'm a grown-up now. Will you still help somehow? I'm not a child, but my heart still can dream. So here's my lifelong wish, my grown-up Christmas list. Not for myself, but for a world in need. No more lives torn apart, then wars would never start, and time would heal all hearts, and everyone would have a friend, and right would always win, and love would never end. Oh, this is my grown-up Christmas wish. As children, we believed the grandest sight to see was something lovely wrapped beneath the tree. Well, heaven surely knows that packages and bows can never heal a hurting human soul. No more lives torn apart, and wars would never start, and time would heal all hearts, and everyone would have a friend, and right would always win. Oh, this is my grown-up Christmas list. What is this illusion called? The innocence of youth. Maybe only in a blind belief can we ever find the truth. Torn apart, that wars would never start, and time would heal all hearts, and everyone would have a friend, and time would always win, and love would never end. This is my grown-up Christmas list. This is my only lifelong wish. This is my grown-up Christmas list. Oh, I love that song. That's my wish. That's my wish for life.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I love to sing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you do.
And you do too.
You. Yes,
yeah.
yes,
And so,
love it.
you know, I do want to, here's your Christmas challenge. For those of you who've always wanted to sing and think they can't sing, just sing anyways.
That's right.
Right? It's
That's
so
right.
easy now I'm challenging you to learn one song and do a karaoke with that song. It will make you feel so good. It really doesn't matter what other people think, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everyone has a voice.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Did you ever get discouraging messages about singing?
No, never.
Never?
Never.
Wow, you're very lucky. I kind of did. My dad told me that I was good, but I wasn't that good, and I should go get my PhD.
Oh.
But I'm grateful because I do what I do with my PhD, and you can always come back to music. So if you thought you wanted to be a rock band singer, if you wanted to do all of that, you can still, garage bands are good, and you can sing forever and ever. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. Absolutely.
yeah. And I want to do a quick shout out to Keiko Matsui, to my twin sister girlfriend. She invited me to her jazz Tidings of Joy, and I got to go backstage and get selfies with Huge Groove too. It was amazing, and I love you, Keiko. I know you're just landed in Japan. She's a past guest here and found out that we're basically twins. We're 2 weeks apart.
Wow.
So our job is to unite the
That's
past
cool.
of the. There's no more differences between Chinese and Japanese.
Right. That's right.
That's our job. That's our job. But what wishes do you have for the new year?
Wow. I wish all wars will end. And just the spread of love amongst everyone.
Beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Do you have anybody that you would like to give a shout out to?
Oh my gosh, there's so many people.
Yes.
First to my beautiful family, my children.
And what are the
Let me
names?
see. Fia, Enya, Alula, Kiana, Michael.
How many kids do you
I have
have?
a tribe.
How many kids do you have?
Oh my gosh, now I'm going to let the whole world know.
Yeah.
I have a
Out
total.
of this little body. How many?
A total of 5 children.
Ooh.
Yes.
Wow. No
Yes,
wonder
I
you are
do.
Powerhouse Eva in more ways than one. Gee, I have 2, and I think that's totally enough.
Wow.
And one of your daughters I've met, and she's an amazing dancer too.
Yes, that's Enya.
That's Enya.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Zendaya
Awesome.
Enya Taylor. Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's funny, all of
Beautiful.
my kids are in the arts.
Well,
they're
they're
either
mom.
singers or dancers.
Well,
and
there you
actors.
go. Really?
Yeah.
So you so do you ever worry about them being in the
Oh.
industry?
You know, I said in the beginning, I really don't want y'all in the arts.
Right,
Because knowing
right.
the business behind
Uh-huh.
it. And I said, can y'all make that like secondary? Have a real career and then have the entertainment.
Right.
But, I decided, I said, you know what, whatever makes you happy. And if this is your passion, go for it.
Great.
So I support them.
Good.
now.
Good
Yeah.
for you. And you actually have been singing how many years now? You use Oil of Olay.
Professionally, probably like around 22 years now.
Wow. And you were #1 in the UK charts.
Yes.
And what was that?
Well, my first gospel single came out back in, I believe it was 1996, and it's called All Right. Yeah, and it was very huge over in Europe,
Beautiful.
United Kingdom, Italy, and that's how it was. Oh, and matter of fact, All Right is actually produced by 95 North Productions. Yeah, and I believe that record was like the first gospel dance house music that arrived. So it was really
That's right.
cool.
Mixing
A girl from
the
the
two.
ghetto.
Yeah,
a girl
yeah.
From the ghettos, you
Good
know?
for you.
So it was very, that's how I made a name for myself. Thank you, 95 North Productions.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, enough talking. Let's sing again. This time we're going to sing another duet. And this
Yes.
one is both of our favorites.
Yes, it is.
We both,
Oh,
when
I
we
love
made the
this
list, this
song.
was like #1 choice.
Yes, that's
Here we
right.
go. and in rehearsal, I have to say, we killed it. So hopefully we didn't leave it.
Me too, yes, we are.
in your
Mary, did you know that your baby boy will one day walk on water?
Mary, did you know that your baby boy would save our sons and daughters?
Did you know that your baby baby boy has come to make you new.
This child that you delivered will soon deliver you.
Mary, did you know that your baby boy will give sight to a blind man?
Mary, did you know that your baby boy would calm a storm with his hand?
Did you know that your baby boy has walked where angels trod?
And when you kissed your little baby, you kissed the face of God. Oh, Mary, did you know?
Did you know?
Mary, did you know? The blind will see, the deaf will hear, the dead will live again.
The lame will lead, the dumb will speak, the praises of the
Lord. Mary, did you know? Oh, Mary, did you know?
Did you Did you know that your baby boy is Lord of all creation?
Mary, did you know that your baby boy will one day rule the nations?
Did you know that your baby boy was heaven's perfect lamb?
And the sleeping child you're holding is the great I am. Oh, Mary, did you know? Yes,
yummy,
right, right. I don't know. It's there's something about you're completely out of your critical mind, your critical head when you sing, and if you're in the zone and you hear it, and the voice sometimes goes, oh, did you get that? No, did you get that? No. So just getting out of that critical mind, and that's the wish that I have for all of you this holiday season, is that you see yourself the way that Source sees you. See yourself the way the friendly universe sees you, and drop out of that MSU, make shiitake up, critical, you're not good enough, you're not perfect, you're not worthy, all of those messages. My wish for you this holiday season and for this next year is to know how loving, lovable, and loved you are.
That's right.
And that's my wish for you too, and all of the people that you are connected to, and wish you very, very, very wonderful things with her newest single. And we're going to break for a little sponsor break, and when we come back, we're going to hear her new single, From Within, when we come right back. Thanking the sponsors that make this show possible. It is me today. So remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out. Are you tired of being tired? Are you ready for more balance in your life? Then come to the beach and work with Dr. Marissa, motivational speaker, author, organizational psychologist, and host of the 2016 Podcast of the Year Top 10 in Health award-winning show, Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. If you are ready to choose more hope and happiness no matter what's happening around you, then go to www.drmarissa.tv today.
No way! I'm so cool. I'm so hot. I'm so hungry. I'm so full.
Did that complaining sound familiar to you? Hi, I'm Dr. Marissa, your cheerleader for hope and happiness 88% of the time. And they also call me the Asian Oprah. Well, I have a perfect app for you if you want to lose negative weight and stop complaining. Yes, the 21-day Fast from Complaining with Dr. Marissa app is now available. Every day you'll get a balanced tip that keeps you from complaining, as well as some sound effects. If you do complain and you press a button, it will give you sound to keep you from complaining. And if you make it the entire day without complaining, you'll get a nice warm water. And there's a YouTube link also to help you not complain. And then at the end of the 21 days, because it takes 21 days to create a good habit, you'll get an overall score as well as a way to post your triumph with your friends and family on Facebook. So don't complain, have fun, and remember it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
Peace in, peace out.
And we are back. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday, naturally high noon, here out of the Sunset Gower studios where scandal is taped, but there's no scandal here, out of UBN Radio TV, Universal Broadcasting Network in Hollywood, California, and then every Thursday at 7. Saturday at 1 on my CNBC, NBC News radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere on iHeartRadio. And we are doing a holiday sing-along today because it is the season of joy. And before we get back to my guest and more music, I did forget to give a peace in, peace out to a beautiful woman who is responsible for doing so much good in Africa and beyond. And it's called kidsbetterworld.com. And if you buy one of these fabulous, portable recycling water, it's delicious. I've been using it. And not only do you save on all of the plastic around, you also, if you buy two, one goes to a child in Africa, and every 4 seconds a child dies of contaminated water. So peace in, peace out. Love to Heshi Siegel. She's recuperating from a temporary slip from health, and I think she's out of the hospital now, but I just wanted to say peace in, peace out. I love you. Get better soon, Heshi. All right, and now we are back to our special guest, the powerhouse diva, Majan Owens. Tell us about your new single.
Wow. My new single, the title is From Within, and it's originally written by Ricky Beebe.
Our choir boss.
Yes, Ricky Byers Beckwith. She wrote it, and oh my gosh, when I first heard the song, which was many years ago, not many years ago, but yeah, I fell really in love with it. I fell in love with it, took it on my own, and it was a journey with this song. So that's why I wanted to redo it. Matter of fact, when I sung it at Agape, the way how Ricky originally wrote it, Ricky says afterwards, she says, "That's a song you need to redo. That's a song right there." But I had another song that she wrote in mind. And so I wanted to really get with like one of the known house producers that produces house music. And so that was a little journey. But then I just sat still, have Spirit speak to me, and directed me to my great friend, Evan Landis from Groove Junkies. And he took the song and just put a whipping on it. He turned it out.
That's great, and we're going to listen to it right now.
Yeah. I let my heart begin to see eternity turn within, and now I can see the face of God. Face of God, it's all I am, and face of God, it's all I see. It's all I see. Yeah. Ever presence all around me. It's within me. It's within me. Ever presence all around me. It's within me. It's in my feet. It's in my toes. It's in my heart. It's in my soul. It's in my brain. It's in my vein. It's in all of us. It's deep within. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Can you feel it? Like I feel it. I need release. Oh yeah. Can you feel it? Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Feel it. Clap your hands. Yeah.
That's it. Wow.
That's it.
That's awesome. And
it.
that has
Thank
helped
you.
put you on the 100 top vocalists of 2017.
Yes, of 2017 track Source.
Congratulations.
Yeah, first it was
Yeah.
the first 100 Soulful House song, and then it went to number 10, and then it reached the top 5.
Wow,
yeah,
that is
I'm
so
pretty excited. I wasn't
cool.
expecting that because this is my first recording probably within 10 to 15 years.
Well, there's
So,
more to
yeah.
come,
Yes, there is.
obviously,
Yes,
if
there
that
is.
isn't the
Definitely.
encouragement.
Yes.
For sure. And now it's time for our last song, even though we could probably do this for hours and hours.
Yes.
It's our second favorite
Yeah,
song.
second
Yes.
favorite.
And this is a wish that goes out to all of you. Thank you so much for supporting me. Listening to me, giving me the finger, a thumbs up on my shows, and I'm just so grateful. We just calculated this is my 295th consecutive week on the air.
Wow.
So we're celebrating at the end of January with show 300. I'm so grateful to all of you who are so supportive, and xie, that's Mandarin for thank you. And I wish you a very, very, very Merry Christmas, as we are going to show you.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light.
From now on, your troubles will be out of sight.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay.
From now on, your troubles will be miles away.
Here we are, as in golden days, happy golden days of yore.
Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more.
Through the years we'll all be together, if the fates allow.
Hang a shining
upon the highest place. So have yourself a merry little Christmas night. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, like you, gather near to us once more. Through the years we all will be together if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest place. So have yourself a merry little Christmas night. So have yourself a merry little Christmas night.
Yeah, Tony Sweet is one of my most special friends, and I've been with Tony, and he's, I met with him the week after I got the call to do radio.
Wow.
And just happened to find him, and we've been friends and supporters of each other, and he is an amazing, lovable, loving, and loved human being. So I want to give a special shout out to you for all. He had to cover for Chris, who's not feeling well, but I'm kind of glad because you're here, and I wanted to wish you and UBN, and also a shout out to all my guys on the other side at my CNBC station, KCAA, Mark Westwood, Fred Lundgren, the owner, Mike Lundgren, his son, who runs all this from Texas, and then all the people that are in studio. I'm going to forget somebody, but Carlos, Brandon, Joe, and I'm just so grateful for all that you do to help me splatter hope and happiness on the air. And I'm gonna have to say goodbye, but I think I already asked you who you're grateful to, but did you remember anybody else that you wanted to give a shout out to in gratitude?
Yes.
You did? Yeah,
Yes.
I figured. Okay.
Yes, gratitude to you.
Aww.
Especially to Marissa.
I got these beautiful
everyone that is here. Yes.
I got to show you the flowers.
For having me here.
Beautiful they
This
are.
is my first show, so I'm really excited.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah.
And to Ricky Beebe, to my wonderful spiritual guidance and leader, Reverend Michael Beckwith.
Peace in and peace out.
The
my big
Agape
brother.
Choir, all the souls that are there, and
Yeah.
also at the Spiritual Center, my family, my beautiful children, all the producers who have worked on this beautiful remix, Groove Junkies and Solar Landez. And if I'm forgetting anyone, please don't take it personal. Please don't.
Yeah.
I love you all. So I just
Yeah.
love all my fans and love everyone who have tuned in and to listen to us.
Yeah,
you
and how
know?
do you get the single?
Oh, you get the single. I didn't give you that link. Oh my gosh. Okay. You can get the single on tracksource.com, on iTunes, on
Amazon?
Yes, Amazon.
Okay.
And there's another one. The
CD Baby? Is it CD
No,
Baby?
not CD Baby.
Okay. But if you go on her website, you'll get all the links, right?
Yes.
And that website
absolutely.
is?
Oh, MijanOwens.com.
Spell that, please.
Or you can, M
M
as in Mary, IJAN as in Nancy, OWEN as in Nancy again, S.com. And also you can go on the record label, Groove Junkies. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Morehouse Records.
Morehouse
Records.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
.com.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for making my holiday sing-along fabulous.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It was so
Peace in and peace out to you. I remember that first time because everybody knows you're a soloist, and I remember the first time I sang somewhere, and I had a little solo part, and Majan comes up to me and says, "You can sing," which was the reaction I got from Aaron Dickens from Manhattan Transfer. So that was a big compliment. So even though we made some boo-boos on the last one, we still had fun 88% of the time. And it was great 88% of the time.
That's right.
All right. And it is now time at the end of the show for my balance bar, where I invite you to come and balance with me. So the first thing, obviously, is my 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa. Started that July 1st, 2011. So we are going on our 7th year, and round 79 starts January 1st. I cannot think of a better New Year's resolution than to not complain for 21 consecutive days. So if you want to take me up on that, get the app. It's only 99 cents, and that's just to cover the costs of the teenagers that I hired to make the app itself. It's a fabulous. You can post on Facebook from it, how many days you didn't complain. Every day has a daily tip. Today's tip is don't go to the tractor for milk. We complain about people, places, and situations that they're not going to complain. No matter how often we try to change them, no matter how much we complain about them, they will not change. You cannot get milk from a chapter, and you know who I'm talking about. So acceptance is the balance tool that will take away the negative energy called complaining, also known as nagging. So today, when you're tempted to complain about someone's inability to be kind or sweet or loving, maybe they are just a tractor that are incapable of giving milk at this time. So go find a cow. If you'd like to join the fast, again, just email me or go to forbalance.org, click on the link, and that will register you. We're over, I think, 80,000 now, people around the world who are doing this fast. And if you don't complain for 21 consecutive days, you will win, but you have to register first and then tell me that you didn't complain for 21 days. You'll get my 52 card, Pick Me Up, Stacking the Deck for Life Balance with Dr. Marissa. So make sure you register. We only have women winners right now. Only 3 women have won. So we need a man. And we need someone to show that men can also not complain 21 days in a row. Just confirmed, if you want to put it on your calendar, I'll be speaking at the Best Is You conference in the Long Beach Convention Center in March. And what dates are those? I didn't write it down. Did you see the March 24th and 25th? I will be speaking and doing a workshop. Be the best that you can be and broadcast it. So please register for that. Also, come see me in Sedona. It is my annual balance retreat in the Magic Red Rocks of Sedona. It is the weekend after Mother's Day, May 19th and 20th. $50 will hold your virtual healing mat. So please do go to my website to reserve your spot. You save $200 if you register before Valentine's Day. Join me in January for 2 great events, January 6th and 7th at the Intercontinental Hotel in LA. My friend and fabulous past guest, Ryan Long, is hosting another business summit for wealth, mastery, and mindsets. Register at citysummit.co. Make sure you get your tickets to the main event, too, March 2nd and 3rd. Ashton Kutcher is a confirmed speaker for that event. Yes, Ryan's the one who was responsible for me getting to interview John Travolta, Halle Berry, and Quincy Jones on the red carpet. So you know I love him, and it'll be Ashton Kutcher this year. So make sure you go to citysummit.co. Then January 12th and 13th, join me at Steve Farber's Extreme Leadership event at the San Diego Hilton. Go to extremeleadership.com leadership.com or stevefarber.com. There'll be speakers, music, and I'll be teaching Balanced Tai Qigong. Jeanette Joy Fisher was the Asian Oprah giveaway winner for that event. And next week, my special guest to help bring in the New Year's is one of my favorite life balance coaching clients, beautiful Rainey Hiley, who will be helping you find your authenticity. That's what you're supposed to know and supposed to be. Find out for the new year as you renew you. And it's just in time. So that is it. Thank you so much for tuning into my annual holiday sing-along. If you missed it or just coming in now, remember I'm on Thursday at 7 on my NBC News radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, and FM 106. And if you didn't get any of those details, just go to Dr. Marissa, give me the finger this one, and then you'll get all of the news all the time. All right, and that's your encouragement to tune in to take my advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced. Oh, I'm so glad I remembered to look down. You have to sign up we're going to break a Guinness World Book Records. My guest January 9th will be Rick Morrison, and he'll be talking about it more, but I want to give you a little heads up. We're trying to break the world record on hugging. So it was on National Hug Day. It will be January the 21st, I believe, at Agape International Spiritual Center. Sign up today at hugalliance.net, I believe it is. This was a last minute put in, so I apologize. But again, it will be on my Dr. Marissa Facebook, hugmob.com to register there. We need, wherever you were born, we're trying to have the most. I was born in Canada, so if you're born anywhere outside the U.S., you have to sign up to help us break that record. All right, so keep it tuned to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, E-I. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
Take away the part of me that wants to stay. It's all I want to hear my life and sing along.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let the Yuletide ring. From now on, your troubles will be far away.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
Let your hearts be light. From now on, your troubles will be out of sight.
If the friends who are dear to us gather near to us once more,
through the years we will be together, to us once more.
through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow.
Hang a
yourself
a merry little Christmas
faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years we always will be together, if the fates allow. So have yourself a very shining star. Have yourself a merry little Christmas yourself a merry little Christmas.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM,